Private tutoring, and I wanted to do a very quick video for you to just go over the steps to read the ACT English test. First of all, you are going to see the instructions that ask you to read each passage through once before you begin to answer it. I want to cross that out. We are not going to do that. That would take too much time, and you would be wanting to make the corrections as you read things that are wrong. Now, one thing that I do, however, want you to do, though, is the second part where it says, for many of the questions, you must read several sentences beyond the question to determine the answer. Read several sentences beyond the question to determine the answer. So sometimes you really do need to read about a sentence above and a sentence below to get the context. So let's go down and look at the actual test and look at the steps. All right, so your steps are, you want to read the first sentence. You want to read the sentence all the way through. That's step one. So we are going to read, the nature trail is 6 feet wide and 7 miles long. It slithers through the forest like a snake, curving and bending along the banks of the river. The second step is to notice how your answer choices are the same and how they are different. So we are going to see over here that our no change option says snake curving, comma, and bending. So we notice there that we have a comma after curving. And we look over and we look and see, do we have a comma after curving in any other option? And we do. So there's a comma after curving on option A and option D. Now, what are our other differences? We have a comma after snake only on option B and option D. And we've got a comma after bending on options C and D. So now we've noticed that we're certainly dealing with commas. And what's the same? The words snake, curving, and bending are exactly the same. So we know that the wording is not being tested. For something like this, what you want to do is notice how the answer choices are the same and different. And then what you want to do is deal with one issue at a time. So step 3 would be deal with one issue at a time, one comma placement at a time, and determine if that is correct or if that is incorrect. So it slithers through the forest like a snake, curving and bending. So we know that we do not want a comma before that and, because this is a verb, it's a compound verb. Whatever it is curving and it is bending. It's doing these two things and you don't want to put a comma there. So if we do not want that comma there, then we are going to cross out answer option A. And where else do we have a comma after curving? D. So we're going to cross out answer option D. So now let's look at answer option B and decide, do we want this comma after snake? It slithers through the forest like a snake, curving and bending along the banks of the river. Yes, we actually do want that comma, and I'll explain the rule for that in a minute. And so C does not have that comma, so we know that our answer is B. Our next step then is not to just be done with it, but a lot of times you will have made the wrong decision up to this point. So you want to plug your answer back in. You want to plug your answer back in to your whole sentence and see if it works. And in this case, when you plug your sentence back in, you want to kind of exaggerate the comma if you added in a comma. So it slithers through the forest like a snake, curving and bending along the banks of the river. Yes, we like that. Now let me explain to you why we do want, there we go, why we do want that comma after snake and before curving. You have an independent clause. It slithers through the forest like a snake. You could put a period there. But you couldn't put a period in the entire sentence because curving and bending along the banks of the river has no subject. So that's not a sentence. So what you're dealing with is an independent clause and a phrase, which is actually a participial phrase. Participial phrase is when you take what would be a verb, to curve or to bend, you add an ing, and when you add an ing to a verb, you are either creating a gerund, which is a noun, or you are creating a participle, which is acting as an adverb. In this case, it's an adverb because it's describing what it is doing. So whenever you have an independent clause and a participial phrase or a gerund phrase, you're going to want a comma in front of the ing word that introduces that phrase.